What's up YouTube? Capital G here. It's WWE time and we're about to lay the smackdown on some candy asses. We got some Goki action. Would you believe that Goki are still going to be getting support all the way into Eternity Code? I could not believe that, but they're getting a new Link 4 monster that is essentially a Towers. When you Link summon it, it's immune to all card effects, and it's actually a pretty crazy card. It's not going to show up in these duels. This build is a little different. It's essentially a one-shot build of Goki where you use the Goki finishing move and you just try to one-shot and smash your opponent's face in, as a deck like this might be inclined to do. First duel is against Generators. The boss monster still hasn't been officially revealed, the new one from Eternity Code. I really want to play this archetype. Like, this archetype looks like it has a lot more potential moving forward. Anyways, let's go ahead and roll this. He opened with a pretty decent hand because he has Extravagance to draw 2, and he is going to be able to get himself the Generator stage, which is basically the entire deck in a nutshell. He's going to go ahead and activate the effect. He's going to summon his copy of Lopter from his deck, and then he'll get his tokens. Awesome that Lopter makes your tokens actually, like, you know, very, like, it gives them decent stats. I mean, essentially he just got 4 or 5 monsters on field that all had 2500 attack. Now this is only during your opponent's turn, but it's still not a field that you have to, or not a field to scoff at. Anyways, he's going to activate Prohibition, and he called Utgard the card in his hand. It's probably the second best of the big Generator boss monsters. He wants to respond with that, and he could have summoned in Utgard from his deck before the Prohibition actually resolved, but instead he's going to go for Nidhogg. I feel like this card was probably better before we got some of the newer Generators. Nidhogg is going to just be flip face down with the copy of Invoke Raijin, so he basically got nothing out of that, and now he doesn't actually have any way of defending himself. He's going to activate that Octo Stretch, and he will also activate his copy of Isode, both of the effects. He'll summon another Octo Stretch from his deck, and even though his opponent has 5 monsters on field, he's going to be able to OTK through this pretty dang easily. He's going to go for what I like to call All Might, that is Goki Master Ogre. Jet Ogre will give this card 500 attack because it was sent to the graveyard, and then he's going to go for the finishing move. You activate Goki Finisher. You can target one of your Goki Link monsters. It gains attack equal to its rating times 1000. So this card is superb with your Link 4s. Not just that, it also gets piercing damage, and our boy All Might over here can attack every one of your opponent's monsters. So even, I mean, he could have like 10 of these damn tokens and it wouldn't matter. It would actually be worse for him because he's doing almost 5,000 every time he lands an attack. So that is an easy GG. Yeah, he should have pulled out, he should have pulled a second copy of Utgard from his deck. I mean, you're not going to play Generators unless you're running multiple copies of Utgard. You should be playing 3 of that card. Anyway, second duel is going to be against a Lightsworn variant, and unfortunately he just doesn't get the mills here with his copy of Minerva. I mean, it's nice that he gets his Trick Clown, but that's not really going to defend you against this deck anyways. He's actually going to open with Super Polymerization just to get those 2 cards off field, and he's gonna go for a really kind of cheesy play. Well, that'll come in a second. He's going to make a quick pit stop before he goes for Isode. I'm not exactly sure why he didn't just go straight into Isode, but I digress. It's not really gonna matter all that much. Since he did draw his 1 copy of Horn of the Unicorn, I looked through this guy's deck. I believe this is the only equipped in his entire deck, right? So watch what he's going to do. He's going to summon his Invoke Raijin. He's going to equip Horn of the Unicorn. Then he's going to flip it face down to put the copy of his unicorn back into his deck so that he can resolve the effect of Isode. That was actually pretty cheeky if you ask me. He's going to go back into Goki Jet Ogre. He's going to search that finishing move, and then he is just going to go into an appropriate Link monster that can obviously mess his opponent's face up. He's going to choose this time Goki the Giant Ogre. Once again, it's going to gain attack equivalent to its Link rating, which, you know, 4,000 attack definitely is pretty good. You get piercing damage. Not only Goki monsters can attack when you use the finisher, but it doesn't matter because usually you can just one-shot them. We know Trick Clown, when it's summoned back, has 0 defense, so yeah, he's able to hit his opponent for 8,500. Anyways, let's go ahead and pause quickly. Actually, no, I don't need to pause. Let's check out what the deck looks like on paper. That card, Goki Finisher, I love it. It actually reminds me, if you guys have ever seen animes like Kill la Kill or Gurren Lagann, you know how in those shows they say like finishing move or finishing technique, and then they do a whole bunch of flashy stuff and then do the move. It reminds me of something like that. Obviously, it's a it's a common trope in anime. Anyways, you guys can see you're playing a lot of the Goki monsters, not running any of the high level ones. He did say, he was like, he in the email he sent me, he said that he wished that there was another level 4 or lower Goki monster. But Konami has to be, I gotta be careful with making more main deck monsters with Gokis, considering that almost all of them search the entire archetype. It's like, the more cards you make, the better the archetype is, as long as they're just in the main deck. And they have that effect, like they're always going to be valuable. We have some Warrior Turbo cards. You guys have seen these before, the Blue Mountain Butter Spy. And then jump forward, these are used for ISO Turbo decks. I have never seen this card before, Cyber Tutuban. It's a Warrior monster. It's high level, but you can special summon it by tributing a Warrior monster. So I guess you can normal summon like one of your Gokis and then tribute this. And if you have like another Warrior monster, I guess it is, you know, get you to ISO'd and it triggers your Goki monster. He's playing Prohibition in the main deck. I'm going to assume that that's probably like if you're going first, which I don't really think this deck would want to go first. Like I'm guessing that you just call Nibiru with this. That would be the main thing that I would guess, because that's the reason a lot of people in some of these builds will run Prohibition over Called by the Grave. It's Called by the Grave, can't stop Nibiru, and obviously if your opponent Nibirus you at the right time, they're going to wreck you. He's also running a bunch of other like Go Second cards. You got the Super Poly, you also have copies of Instant Fusion. I kind of like this, the Forbidden Chalice in the main deck. It also can be used not just to turn off one of your opponent's monsters, very similar to something like Impermanence. You can use this in the damage step to give you a little more attack, and it won't actually mess with your it won't mess with your Goki finisher, because if you only need to land one attack, then your monster's effect probably doesn't matter at that point. As I said before, only one equipped card in the entire deck, but it's Horn of the Unicorn, so if you do hard draw it, there are some cheeky ways of putting it back into the deck. Also, when we look at his side deck, it's just more Go Second cards. All right, clearly we've established that this deck ain't going first, so yeah, I guess that makes sense why he's running all of this spicy Go Second tech.